Good evening, everyone. I hope this video finds you in the best of health and spirits. The title of this video is Why It Is Now Time to Virtually uh, Revalidate All Assumptions in Indology from Scratch. Okay, let us now begin this video by discussing the term Aryan. Aryan is only a cultural term in the Rig Veda. It was used only in ancient India and ancient Indian Iran. In ancient Iran, it is more strongly associated with an identity. In India, it only means noble in Rig Veda, and of course we had a place called Aryavata, Aryanam Vajay in Iran, and the great Hungarian researcher Oswald Smerenyi studied all the arguments pertaining to the term Aryan and came to the conclusion that the term was not Indo-European but a Near Eastern or Ugaritic term meaning kinsman or companion. He concluded that there was very little evidence to show that the term Aryan was used throughout the Indo-European world, including Europe, and it was imported into the European region much later. It was misused by Hitler and other people in a very devious and deplorable way. Okay, therefore, obviously, no modern linguist or Indologist interprets the terms Aryan and Dravidian and racial term. As a matter of fact, the term the race itself is obsolete. Please refer to my earlier videos on this. Okay, it has been replaced by terms such as haplogroups and ethnobiological anniversary. And Marx Müller insisted by Arya now do not mean blood or bones. Similarly, Marxist scholar R. Sharma also came to a similar conclusion. I have provided many more quotations in my previous papers. Please read them. Please read my paper on the solution for the Aryan problem and know in the demise of the Dravidian Vedic and Paramount Indus hypothesis. Please read my entire paper. Okay, and if you see the term Dravidian originates from the Sanskrit word Dravidia. It also was used to refer to the land and people of South India, Damila, etc. And Robert Caldwell later employed this as a generic term for the Dravidian language family in his comparative grammar book. Okay, therefore, the concept of the Dravidian language family is also relatively recent. And if you see the Aryan invasion theory, this theory is already dead and buried. It refers to invasionist series of Aryan migrations. Okay, and the Aryan invasion theory is hopelessly oversimplified and antiquated theory. There is no a point flogging a dead horse here. The amount of genetic diversity in the subcontinent is mind-boggling and staggering. If you see this chase states like Chhattisgarh and Jharkhand, also the amount of genetic diversity is uh, um, boggling. By 1969, even Romila Thapar stopped believing in the Aryan invasion theory, which had some currency then. Dr. Robert Zeidenbach also said it's an oversimplified theory. And even Witzel and other mainstream researchers such as Asko Parpola, who supports the Dravidian industry theory, even Asko Parpola does not believe in the Aryan invasion theory anymore. And this was not, of course, subscribed to by uh, Filippo Salsetti, William Jones, or Max Miller because the Indus Valley civilization was not known at that time. No such theory was ever published in a scientific journal, so it is probably just a hunch. And it's mostly attributed to people who had very little knowledge of India. And sometimes it is seen as an imaginary conflict within Aryans, within quotes, double quotes, and Dravidians within double quotes, both of which are absurd. That is why in my paper on the two-part paper on the solution for the Aryan problem, I had used that earlier terminology that was in use at that time, 20 years ago, and then I moved slowly to what I believe is the current terminology. Okay. However, the Rig Veda has some violent verses targeting dasas and dasyus. I have written about it. Invasionist scenarios came to be used during the time of Sir Mortimer Wheeler, as proposed as said by B.B. Lal. But Mortimer Wheeler himself does not appear to have spoken about an Aryan invasion from an external source. And some people blame D.P. Agarwal for this, as proposed by Gregory Puzzle. Gregory Puzzle also made good contributions to Indus studies. However, he is Western centric and did not collaborate with Indian researchers, and he wanted to maintain the Western control over dominance over over scholarship. Okay, and the term Aryan invasion theory may have been used by the British as a part of the divide and rule strategy. More recently, it came to be known used by Hindutva groups to promote it's like flogging a dead horse, to promote two alternative theories known as the Vedic Indus theory and out of India theory, both of which are not tenable. Dravidian Indus theory is not tenable because the terms Aryan and invasion are no longer interpreted in racial terms. Items of the IVC, such as the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro, do not resemble items from Dravidian culture. Harappan gods do not resemble Dravidian gods. No place names in the northwest of India that are Dravidian. Skeletal biology. People of the region resemble people of the region of northwest India. This some studies have been carried out by Kenneth A. R. Kennedy and others. He passed away. I've written about it in my papers extensively. Migrations from Central Asia could at best have been very small. Therefore, whole-scale replacement of native languages may not have taken place. Baluchistan may not have been the originating point of Dravidian languages. They are widely spoken mostly in South India, with minor exceptions. There is a location mismatch between Dravidian cultures and IBC. All substratum based approaches can be misleading. Refer to another part of the video. The Brahmi evidence may be misleading. Refer to another part of the video. No north-south migrations may have ever taken place. However, there were migrations to the Gangetic plains in around 1900 BC probably. And there was continuity between Harappan and post-Harappan cultures in Pakistan. It's observed in many parts of India, by Gregory Puzzle and others. Prakrits may not be derivative of Sanskrit, given the small quantum of migrations. Names of dasas are not Dravidian. Sanskrit and Prakrit words are quite large in Tamil. Okay, and Tamil Brahmi script, Patiprolu Brahmi script, Guntur, Andhra Pradesh, and Ashokan Brahmi are clearly almost the same with minor variations. Okay, script based decipherment is misleading. If you come to the Vedic industry, that is also not tenable because the IVC is on the other side of the Arivarta. The location of the Harappan cities do not tally with the Mahavat Janapadas. The IVC went to decline in 1900 BC and disappeared by 1400, 1300 BC. Vedic culture was continuous till Buddhist time and later also. Sanskrit may not have been widely spoken by millions of people. There would have been many different languages in the IVC. All these people were not Sanskrit speaking. The IVC was not horse and chariot centric. The IVC emptied out onto the Arabian Sea, not into the Bay of Bengal. Raki Garhi was on the Indus Saraswati or Gagra Hakar Doab. The easternmost site of the ABC was Alamkirpur, unlike the Mahajanapadas. Harappan gods are different from later Indian gods. Vedic culture alone does not account for the whole of Hinduism. There are many other streams of Hinduism involved. Even though the name Hindu was not used at the time, they all contributed in major way to Hinduism, including the Indus Valley. Okay, so there has to be some compromise from all sides. IVC Vedic culture was Veda was believed to have been compiled in 1500 BC, and that this was done due to contacts with West Asia and in the post Harappan era. So there is a time mismatch also. Coming to Vedic fire altars in Kalibangan, IVC was probably connected with the mid Himalayan region, as pointed out by Witzel and other scholars. Some adventurous speakers speaking some early form of Vedic Sanskrit or some ancestor of Vedic Sanskrit may have lived there. And the index tradition does not talk about any culture with the Indus Valley as the epicenter. Instead, Sanskrit literature talks about the dasas and dasyus. Coming to the issue of Saraswat Brahmins, this can be explained through occultation models because by 1300 BC there was occultation in place, and the strong evidence must be distinguished from weak evidence. We have also spoken about the concept of non-self-canceling contradictory evidence and other past self-contained scholarship also. You must become strong in scientific method. This will only distinguish successful societies from unsuccessful societies in the long run. Okay, out of India theory was briefly examined and given up as uh, absurd because it is promoted by Hindutva groups due to ideological and political motivations. No mainstream acceptance almost. Geographical problems. Gangetic Plains is the action area. Why would people climb the Himalayas and then go to Europe? Is absurd. There is also no record of Vedic Sanskrit outside India. Coming to this issue of Saraswati River is true because it explains the migration of migrations to the Ganga Yamuna River in 1900 BC. The IBC could not have flourished or taken shape of the Thar Desert sitting in between. Numerous references are made to Saraswati River and Rigveda. I have compiled all those references. For example, we have Amitami, Naditami, Devitami, Saraswati. I have collected many verses. Saraswati was a mighty river that flowed through the northern part of the Indian subcontinent during the Vedic period. It is now a lost river and it died up more or less completely in 1900 BC. However, the Saraswati River does not make the Indus Valley Vedic because Sindhu is also mentioned in Sanskrit literature. The Paramunda industry is also absurd because Paramunda industry is not used by many scholars. Munda cultures are tribal and lack sophistication. Munda languages are primarily spoken in the Jharkhand region. Skeletal biology. People in the IBC are more like people in Northwest India. I have discussed many more points against the Paramount industry. If you see the Indus Valley Indus disappearment, the Dholavira signboard displays a random repetition of signs. This may have been determined it is. British archaeologist Jane McIntosh also says that the Dholavira signboard is a precursor to a lost corpus of manuscripts, because nobody would, just for the sake of carving out a board, he would not have imported a lower Cyrillic script in this form. Okay, so trying to read Indus script in any one form is untenable and practically absurd. This is because the average length of inscriptions is very short as it exists today, 4.6 signs, and the presence of large number of word signs would also have been in large part due to the polyglot nature of the Indus Valley. They would have had to be read by merchants, traders, and other people in different parts of the civilization. They would have also been they would also have to be read by people from outside the Indus Valley civilization, because if goods were exported to Mesopotamia, Mesopotamian people would also have to read them. So they would not have had to know the language, underlying language to read it. They could have easily read it with some training. Therefore, the approach of using Indus Valley scripts, that is, a pending discovery of larger manuscripts, when he is outdated and obsolete, is antiquated, historical, and antediluvian. Okay, first step must be to jettison it before we can make any meaningful progress in Indology. Now, if we come to substratum and superstratum based approaches, it is very difficult to identify what substratum is, because India acculturation process between the Harappan and post Harappan India is quite complex. You cannot identify a substratum or a superstratum easily. And in case of Indus Valley, India, we had something like a roller ball model. This term was proposed by J.P. Mollery. Okay, and that is why substratum-based approaches are also misleading. Okay, because we can use it to say the claim that Paramunda was spoken, Witzel says Paramunda was spoken, somebody says Sanskrit was spoken, somebody says Dravidian was spoken, somebody says neither of these three. But methodology has to be robust, okay, and self-contained. It is not the self-adjusting and self-correcting. Also, it is not the case with substratum based, because they are very loosely based on hunches. Now, if you see the languages of the Indus Valley civilization, have given large number of evidence and proof. Okay, it's a very complex issue and needs to be treated with the attention it deserved. You must also be prepared to deal with a high level of complexity always and all time. IBC was pre-Sanskritic, given the fact that IBC went to terminal decline by 1900 BC and disappeared entirely by 1300 and 400 BC. Okay, and many different languages would have been spoken there in the much later they came to be known as IE languages. Okay, we had Iranian languages, Indo-Iranian languages, Burshasky, Proto-Burshasky. We had languages. It is also widely known that people of Gujarat and Saurashtra region did not migrate to the east. Okay, so all these languages, there have been many different languages spoken there. Munda Paramunda also may have been spoken. It's not mutually exclusive. And we also had vassal cultures such as Ahad, Jorwe, Banas, Kayata cultures. They may have been speaking their own distinct and separate languages. And I had proposed that the Harappans spoke many different languages, probably many different language groups that included many languages that much later came to be known as the practice of Gangetic Plains. Okay, when migrations to the Gangetic Plains came there. Coming to Brahui, I will speak about the Brahui theory momentarily. Okay, and there were no interregnums between Indus Valley and post-Arab India. It's just a small group of people brought about a cultural transformation. This hypothesis is, of course, validated and vetted by accepted by Romila Thapar. Okay, therefore, probably the Harappans were Dasas and Dasyus described in Sanskrit literature. They were rich, ancient, and lived in 1994 according to the Rig Veda. I've discussed all the verses in the Rig Veda which speak about the Dasas and Dasyus. Okay, and Bromana Thapar also clearly says the Aryas mostly emerge in terms of new culture, not a new set of people, even though they may have been a small set of people migrating to the Vedic homeland. The Vedic homeland is the northernmost tip in India. That is where all the Vedic holy places are purported to have been located, not towards Indus Valley. Okay. And coming to the issue of Brahui, Franklin Southward says Brahui may not be a Dravidian language, but may only possess some attributes and characteristics of a Dravidian language. In any case, Brahui language speakers constitute less than 1% of the population of NW, northwest part of India, and most people in the northwest part of India speak Indo-European languages. We would also like to hear what people proposing different theories have their own defense. That's why we need dialectical approaches. Okay. Okay, we must also probably do is to place languages in a continuum based on their characteristics and delve into the history of this language by adopting a deep historical approach. Brahui is also their a tribal confederacy, and they're primarily found in Pakistan. They speak Brahui, purported to be a Dravidian language. But if you look at Brahui, they are found in the central areas of Pakistan, province of Balochistan. Okay, and this language is quite different from other Dravidian languages. And Brahui speakers do not resemble South Indians at all. Brahui is more similar to Malto and Kuruk. Okay, Jules Bloch and some other people say that these people recently migrated from the central part of India, Chotanagpur Plateau, on 10th century AD, and Brahui speakers are also genetically indistinguishable from neighboring Baluchi speakers. So a lot of complexities involved. Okay, and it need not be mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean that you accept one hypothesis, you reject another hypothesis. If contradictory evidence exists, it means that the model is oversimplified. Simple rule that I've been saying all along. Okay, and the Brahmi lexicon is also purported to be 35% Persia-Arabic, 20% Baluchi, 20% Indo-Aryan, 15% Dravidian, 10% unknown. So it may not be a Dravidian language at all. Okay, just like Franklin Southwood said, he said it belonged to a Zagrosian family, and the Elamo-Dravidian family also has been proposed by. It was proposed by David McAlpin. Okay, David McAlpin had seemed to have ratified my hypothesis because he pressed a like there. And hypothesis must be constructed using a scientific basis, not randomly or arbitrarily. Such gross oversimplifications will never work out to be correct because Western scholars have had this penchant, okay, disgusting habit of oversimplification. Just like you have the out of in Africa theory and other people, these are all oversimplifications. Therefore, you must be prepared to deal with a large level of complexity. Okay, just like you are trying to read the Indus script as Dravidian based on prefixes, suffixes, all these things will come to not will fail utterly and miserably. Okay, and amount of genetic diversity in India is mind-boggling. We need ethnography. We need field work. We need patient field work. Okay, I can do a part of it, but I cannot do everything. Okay, people have to collaborate with each other. Now, if we see the origin of Tamil, Tamil was heavily influenced by what do you say? Sanskrit and Prakrit. Script is almost the same as Ashokan Brahmi. And very basic words you have in Sanskrit words in Tamil, you have many words. Ahimsa in Swargam, Narkam, Nashtam, Labam, Punyam, Papam, several thousands more. Okay, if you see the age of Tamil, Tamil is older than Sanskrit is not tenable because Tamil language is attested clearly till 500 BC only. Lemuria, Kumarikundam, all those things are not tenable as I don't think anybody would accept them today. Vedic Sanskrit is attested since 1500 BC, 1000 years older than Tamil. Classical Sanskrit is attested since 500 BC. Now, coming to the question of is Tamil the oldest language in the world? Oldest spoken languages are between 70 to 80,000 world, or 70,000 to 80,000 years old. Research on spoken speech organs such as Broca's areas, Vernix areas, and Fox P2 can have been carried out. These old languages can be from any part of the world. If you see the oldest written languages, we have written Chinese, Sumerian is probably the oldest, Egyptian hieroglyphs, then written Chinese, Akkadian language, Eblate language, Elamite language, okay, and these may be older than 2000 BC also, and Tamil is only attested since 500 BC, and IA languages may also be not the same as IE languages. Therefore, classification of language and language group itself is very fuzzy and nebulous and hazy because the word order is wrong. We have SOV and SPO languages, and the word order is exactly the opposite. Okay, and more linguist ethnography has to be used. More and more field work has to be used. Avoid oversimplification. We need grounded research. We need inductive approaches. Okay, and the languages can be placed in a continuum if required. We need to develop evolved models. Relationship with other languages can be laid bare. Okay, and we also have large number of ghosts of the past, just as we have a need a major anthropological and social sciences revolution, we need a lot of ghosts of the past must be consigned to the rubbish heap and dustbin of history. First thing is so-called Indo-Iranian language spread. They get to be reconciled with the Kurgan hypothesis, BMS hypothesis. the rural post-India Harappa hypothesis, Mortimer Wheeler. Anybody who has any knowledge of India will reject it. Prima facie, the knowledge of early second millennium migrations absurd. Okay, the idea that the Aryans within quotes lived in the Punjab absurd. Illiterate post-Harappan India hypothesis is absurd. I have written about literacy in post-Harappan India. Okay, imbalanced coverage, arguing against the Vedic Harappan equation using all the wrong reasons, either due to ideological constraints or because of Marxist, because of obsolete ideas. Just as Marxists are always one-sided. Okay, whichever they touch, they mess up. Okay, much more importantly, India-specific uh, approaches have never been adopted. Marxist historiography itself is a problem because they cannot adopt interdisciplinary approaches because they are constrained by the very limited requirements of their ideology. Read my works on 21st century historiography, 5 papers. Read my works on Indology also. Now, if you see the objectives of modernizing Indology, there are many objectives: modernization of archaic terminologies and outdated paradigms, reconstruction of the languages of the Indus Valley civilization, new paradigms for the study of the Indus script. Modernizing Indology can have a major impact on Indo-European studies. To use a scientific study of Indology as a weapon against Hindutva and other ideology-driven approaches, to help in Indian national integration and promote communal harmony in the subcontinent, to contribute towards the foundation of a 21st century school of historiography, to bring about rapid social and cultural changes through scientific approaches in history, to use a scientific study of Indology to combat superstition and blind faith, to use theories such as this to interface with the latest advances in anthropology and genetics, to help in Indo Iranian studies and research on the ancient history of Iran, to help the research of the history of the writing system and origin of Indian alphabets, to facilitate better research on the old world civilizations, to use this as a template for religious and cultural studies of ancient India, to use this as a template for study of the invention and dissemination of other technologies such as metallurgy and transportation technology, and disseminate widely uh, research on the history of science, to research the history of the caste system, to help promote better ties between India and the West, especially US and other countries, Germany, to better research on modern Indian languages, can help fight New Age movements and all other forms of pseudoscience, to help in the conservation of archaeological site, continuation of traditional functions such as the popularization of Indian literature abroad. This can still continue. But uh, earlier indulges carried out human service in this regard. Research on post-Harappan history to help lay the foundation for improved acculturation models worldwide. This is resolving vexatious issues such as the origin of humans and the interrelationship with the world's languages to look for other innovative areas of study. Okay, but all said and done, we need a lot of change in the way we approach Indology. That is why I have taken this video. Please read this in conjunction with my other videos, other videos in Indology and other publications on Indology and publications on historiography as well. Thank you.